How generational trauma shapes education outcomes in marginalized groups. Explore how intergenerational trauma impacts education for marginalized communities and why healing these patterns is key to better learning experiences. How generational trauma affects education outcomes in marginalized communities. Hey, I wanted to share something I've been thinking a lot about lately: how generational trauma can impact education, especially for marginalized groups. You know, it's not just about what happens in one person's life or in one generation. Sometimes, the struggle gets passed down through families, and it shapes so much more than just personal experience. It even affects how kids do in school. So, what are we really talking about here? Terms like intergenerational trauma, ancestral trauma, family trauma, inherited trauma, transgenerational trauma, and multi-generational trauma all describe the idea that trauma isn't limited to just the person who originally experienced it. It can ripple through families and communities across decades. For marginalized groups, whether based on race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or other factors, this inherited pain can make accessing and thriving in education a tougher climb. Think about communities that have faced systemic oppression, displacement, or violence for generations. The emotional wounds from those experiences often aren't healed fully before the next generation grows up. This can show up in the classroom as anxiety, difficulty concentrating, or even resistance to educational structures that can feel alien or unwelcoming. It's more than just stress or distraction. When you consider how economic hardship, family instability, and cultural disconnection often accompany this trauma, it's clear why outcomes would be affected. For example, the stress hormones triggered by ongoing or inherited trauma can impact brain development and memory, which are essential for learning. On top of that, there may be a mistrust toward institutions like schools that historically didn't serve marginalized groups well. Some research even suggests trauma disrupts how kids develop a sense of identity and belonging, which directly influences motivation and engagement in school. This is especially important because education isn't just about facts and figures. It's about feeling supported, seen, and capable. When any of that is missing, it creates a real barrier. Addressing this isn't easy, but that's why resources and approaches that acknowledge these experiences are so valuable. I came across this insightful book called The Generational Algorithm. It digs into how emotional patterns and trauma get passed down and how we can start to rewrite those cycles, which could be a game changer for marginalized students and their families. What I love about The Generational Algorithm is that it isn't just about identifying patterns. It offers tools for healing and growth, aiming to break those chains and improve outcomes, not only in education, but in all areas of life. Imagine if schools and communities integrated this understanding into their support systems. It could help transform how education feels for so many people. If you're curious to explore these ideas more, or know someone who might benefit from a new perspective on family and trauma, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a compelling read that makes complex topics feel approachable and hopeful. You can buy it now on Amazon and start thinking differently about what shapes our educational journeys. At the end of the day, understanding multi-generational trauma and its impact on learning isn't just about acknowledging struggle. It's about unlocking potential. We owe it to future generations to break the cycles holding them back and create educational environments where every student can thrive.